What's up, everybody?
What's up?
At long last, episode 2, Bourbon Dictionary. You wanted it, you get it at noon on a Thursday. All right, let me share all these posts.
Are we live on Facebook?
Yep. I'm just going to share. It's on the 1045 ESPN Facebook. So I'm going to go share all these pages, and then we will formally crank. But it's live. It's got to go live, obviously, for me to share all the pages. That's not what I wanted. We got to get I got to cut an open for the podcast too, you know.
Song?
Yeah, it's in like someone saying like, "Hey, this is Bourbon Dictionary." Blah, 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 blah. Are you ready? All right, here we go.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, share the post if you haven't yet. Thanks for watching. All right, 3, 2. I don't know why I'm counting down like it matters. I guess for the audio version of it, right? All right, episode 2 of Bourbon Dictionary. I'm Matt Moscona. He is Taylor Calandro. You asked for it, so let's do it. It's noon Central Time on a Thursday, so why not talk about brown water at this point? How are you, dude?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm awesome.
Are you?
Well, we've got temperatures in the 50s this morning.
I walked outside this morning, and the first thing I thought about was bourbon.
Right? Like, I'll drink it year-round.
Oh, yeah.
But not everybody will. A lot of people need this type of weather, like tailgating when you have a jacket on to pour your hot toddy or whatever the case may be. So I think this is a perfect time to fire away episode 2.
We got a taste of it this weekend on Saturday. I mean, it wasn't as chilly as it was today, but it was still nice, and it made me want to drink.
If you're new to the podcast, go back and listen to the first episode. That was sort of an introduction. And what we've kind of both disclosed is we'll come with no judgment. This is hopefully a podcast that will help spread some information, maybe give you some ideas. If you're a brand new and someone who's interested, or you consider yourself a connoisseur, whatever the case may be, hopefully you get value and some entertainment out of Bourbon Dictionary. So last time we talked about our bourbon backgrounds, how we got interested in it. Yours obviously is a family deal at Calandro's. Mine was much more recent. But we'll get more into nuanced conversation. What better way to do that than with what you've basically been doing the last month, which is barrel picks for the store.
Yep.
I'm probably, because I've never gone to a distillery and gone through the barrel pick process, probably not going to talk a lot in this episode. But let's start by sort of laying the groundwork. If someone comes into Calandro's and they see single barrel, what is that?
So generally, for most of the picks, it's just a barrel that we have picked, and then
before we even get to barrel picks, let's just talk about single barrel. Like if you were to go in and see like Jack Daniel's single barrel, that
bottled from one single barrel,
from one barrel, as opposed to a batch.
To barrel, yes.
Yeah.
So most like just compare Jack and just regular black label to
single barrel.
Regular Jack Daniel's is all the same age, and it all comes from the same place, but it's a bunch of barrels blended together to make black label.
So you go into their warehouse, and they've just got, like, have you ever been to their distillery?
I've never been to Lynchburg. So.
I have, and it's just like warehouses on acres and acres of property, because they obviously bottle a lot of whiskey.
Yes.
But essentially, they'll take those bottles, pour them in these giant vats, and that's the batch. And then they bottle it, and they go. And the bigger the batch, obviously, the more consistent the taste is going to be.
Yes, and so that's what they're going for black label or Jim Beam, white label, just the main shelf things that they do. They want consistency across the board. So
with that being the base, then what's the benefit of the difference of a single barrel?
Benefit. I mean, I don't know if there's a benefit, but
difference.
Difference from barrel to barrel can be completely drastic. I've never tasted Jack Daniel's black label from barrel to barrel. I'm sure the black label that they blend together, the barrels have to be pretty similar. But just for example, we'll go to Jim Beam and select a single barrel of Knob Creek, and this past time we went 2 weeks ago, we tasted 2 barrels that were barreled almost the exact same time, sat in the same warehouse on the same level, and tasted literally completely different.
Same mash bill.
Same everything.
So, like, it's the same ingredients,
same
same warehouse,
treatment, same level in the warehouse.
And explain the level, like if it's ground or high, like the elevate, that all can factor in as well.
So most warehouses, I think Buffalo Trace has concrete warehouses, but rick house is what they call them.
Rick house.
Most rick houses are naturally aired. Almost all of them are naturally aired. So you're just getting the natural airflow from outside. They have windows that they open up at different times a year to let more airflow in. The higher in the rick house, the hotter the temperature. So the more stress is being put on the barrel. The lower, obviously, the less stress is being put. So and I know some distilleries rotate throughout the aging of the barrel depending on what it is, and if you ever go to a distillery and you get like a behind the scenes look at what they're doing, there's a chance you could see guys literally rotating barrels in a rick house, which it's the craziest job on earth. But
can you imagine?
It's
like
insane.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of barrels just like turning.
Well, and it's crazy because the way they do it, it's just long rows basically of, I think it's 16 barrels on each rack. I can't remember. I think it's 8 or 16. But they got to roll the barrel from one end to get it to the other to where the bung is upright. Every single barrel. And you can't have a redo. To get a redo, you got to unroll the barrel all the way out of the rick and re-roll it back in. So they know exactly how to put the barrel on the rick to have the bung facing up. It's insane.
It is a fascinating process. So when you start talking, all right, so we have a difference between batch and then single barrel. And obviously, I think the biggest difference, even if it's same mash bill, elevation, all things can be different. Like ultimately, the barrel is the difference. Like the wood of that barrel and the characteristics of that literal barrel is what would generate the biggest difference.
Sure, sort of, yeah. I mean, it sometimes it depends on char level. It does depend on mash bill quite a bit, and I think the number one factor in aging whiskey is the weather. I mean, the weather plays a huge role in the suckage and the release. I mean, the way that whiskey gets its flavor is going in and out of the wood.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally the only reason it has the flavor it has. So, besides a little bit of the mash bill, but for the caramel flavors, the vanilla flavors, that's all wood characteristic. It's going in and out of the barrel, in and out of the barrel. That's all it is.
So this is probably the part where I'm going to talk a whole lot less, but I am fascinated by the barrel pick culture. So, like, essentially, if I go into Calandro's and I can see, like, I'll just grab one. So here's the Babe that you all did. This is the 13-year. So it's a 13-year Whistle Pig, the Babe. So, like, you all went to Vermont and picked this?
Not that particular one, but we did go to Vermont, and we're waiting on those barrels to come in. That was the craziest experience that I've
Well, let's talk
had.
about that.
So Vermont. So usually we go to Kentucky to do single barrels, and Kentucky's awesome and everything. Vermont was totally different. Whistle Pig is in the middle of nowhere, no cell phone reception. They got a little bed and breakfast that they own on campus.
Right.
There's probably 15 to 20 employees on staff at Whistle Pig. They hand label everything.
Wouldn't you think it'd be bigger than that?
Yeah,
I mean, they've caught fire, in the last 5 years?
Go to Maker's Mark. It will blow your mind how small that facility is. Maker's Mark.
Okay.
And Maker's Mark's one of the biggest producers of whiskey in the world right
now.
Okay. But it is tiny. Tiny. So, so Whistle Pig still hand slaps labels on bottles. Maker's Mark still hand dips all their bottles. There's 4 people on a tub of red wax dipping bottles all day on a line.
It's pretty cool.
It's crazy.
The novelty of that is pretty cool. Anyway, so all right, so let's talk about. I want to talk about the process of picking a barrel, like for a store. So like as the end consumer walks in and maybe sees, like, hand me or hold up the Elijah Craig. So like the end consumer walks in and you see this, right? So it's a bottle of Elijah Craig, which looks like most any other bottle of Elijah Craig, but it says small batch on it, and then it's got your own label on the back. That one has Mickey Mantle, looks like a baseball card.
Yep.
So like, how does it get from you driving or going up to Kentucky for that, and then that ending up in your store?
So most of the picks, they send samples down to us. But so okay, so I'm gonna take you through a Knob Creek pick, because Knob Creek is one of the ones that we go there and actually do it.
Okay.
Go to Jim Beam where Knob Creek's made. We go to a private warehouse in the back of the property. It's just for private barrel picks and everything. They'll usually have 4 or 5 barrels laid out for us already that they've picked that they think are really good. We'll go through and we'll taste all of them. And we've done it so many times now. We don't want to know how old they are or anything like that. We don't want anybody's opinion that from the distillery that's there already, because when you get an employee's opinion, if they've tasted it, it affects the way you pick a barrel immediately. So if they say it's good, you feel like you have to say it's good. So anyway, well, I mean, because
they'll be like, "Oh, this novice doesn't know what he's talking about," right?
Well, I mean, they're professionals. They do it every day. So, but anyway, so we don't find out the age or anything until after we taste through all the barrels. And I mean, we can taste through barrels. Oh yeah, that's Jim Beam, right? That is
this is Knob Creek. Yeah. This is a video on their website I'm showing that is the under the barrel experience.
I was standing in that warehouse 2 weeks ago.
All right, so
you taste through the barrels. Sometimes we pick one. Sometimes I think one time we picked 4 barrels while we were there. They had 8 of them laid out for us. I've never seen this video.
It's on their website.
Wow.
So if you're listening to the podcast, you should go watch this on our Facebook page or on YouTube.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So you taste through all the barrels. Each barrel can taste so much different. I mean, they can have they're all Knob Creek. They all have the same mash bill. Most of them are around the same age, and most of them are around the same area of the same warehouse, and they taste completely different. I encourage people to go to grab a single barrel Knob Creek from us and a few stores around town and do a blind tasting, and you will be blown away. I mean, it's the same label, it's the same whiskey, but from bottle to bottle, they're completely different.
It is one of my favorite things to do, is to get a single barrel or a barrel pick and do, like I did it with all of the whistle pigs recently, because there's y'all have 3 different ones. You got the 12-year, the Bespoken over there, the Babe, the Frankie Babe. I mean, to put them all side by side, and then if you just take the whistle pig, the 10-year rye, or the 12-year, the Old World cast finish, and try them all side by side, it's remarkable what a different experience you're having. So I'd say that's the benefit, right? That's the benefit of going through the barrel pick experience, is if you're into nuance and you want to taste something completely different, that's what you're shooting for.
It's where I learned that the same whiskey can be completely different from barrel to barrel to barrel. And most novice drinkers don't understand that. They think they've tasted one Knob Creek, they've tasted them all, and it's just not true.
So let's talk about what you've got here. So this is, for those that are listening, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. You have 14 bottles here on the set with us. These are all Calandro's barrel picks.
Yes, and I think all of them are still available at the store except for the Babe, the one that you just held up. But I think
so. This, by the way, and so just to clarify, and one of the really cool things, if you want to see, Paul, and I'll let you explain how the labels are picked, but you can even see, if you can, there, the 132 out of 132. So there was only 132 bottles of this in the world. That's it. This was your barrel. This is it. So it's extremely rare as well that you can only have this experience for as long as it lasts, because once this barrel is sold out, it's gone.
And this particular bottle is sold out. It's been sold out for a while.
So don't try to go get it.
No. And that's one of the best barrel picks we've ever done.
That was fantastic.
Our labels are custom made by a local guy in town, Scott Gracie, at Design for Beer on Instagram. And I work with him on all of our custom labels. We started doing custom labels this year. The Babe was actually the first one that we did. So the custom labels add a nice little touch on top of the barrel pick.
Mm-hmm. So does everybody does a barrel pick, they can do their own label like that?
Sure.
I love that. Can you hold up the Pinhook? Yeah. So Pinhook has become one of my favorites, but look, he's got, there you go. You got the Zion Let's Dance. So what was the genesis here with this one?
Well, the draft had just happened, and I do the labels. I mean, I brainstorm with my label guy. He actually did the logo for us. This is very simple, but I brainstorm with him. So Zion was right after the draft happened, and he said, "Let's dance." and I just thought it was cool. So
And so it doesn't necessarily have to be related to that bottle.
no,
Or
absolutely,
it's just something
most of our
fun.
labels are just crazy. Like these are my dogs.
Whiskey is a man's best friend.
Those are my dogs.
That's a knob. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you this one. This is maybe one of your. Is this your newest?
That's our newest Elijah Craig pick. So on the 6th pick, we started doing a series with sports cards, old sports cards. The first one was I think it was Dr. J. Was Dr. J number 6?
Yeah.
It was Dr. J. And this
So
one,
this is number 7.
That's number
Makes
7.
sense. So it's Mickey Mantle.
And number 8, I can't remember who we're doing. I can't remember. But anyway,
Cal Ripken?
could be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Steve Young?
It's tough to choose.
Archie Manning?
I said Archie, but I think we're going to do Drew Brees for number 9.
I like it. That makes sense. You should do Drew Brees for number 9, by the way.
But and my dad has terrible feelings about Archie days.
Oh, because of Ole Miss.
So,
Because the Saints.
Yeah.
Oh, just because the teams weren't very
the
good.
teams were terrible.
That makes a lot of
sense. He loves Archie, but he's just got bad memories from that time.
Share, if you would. You mentioned going to Knob Creek. Some of the other experiences you might have had that stand out when you look at anything on this table here of any of the barrel picks that you've gone through and done.
Most of the barrels we choose in store. They send samples in the mail, or a sales rep brings samples in, and we pick. They bottle. We tell them what we want on the label. They send us the bottles, the cases, and the actual barrel, but it's already bottled. Maker's Mark. This is actually not a barrel. They do a blending, and it's you can't read it, but.
Let me see.
So basically, we go to Maker's Mark. All that's in that bottle is Maker's Mark cask strength, but you get to choose the different stave finishes. They have a ton of different stave finishes. I think there's 5 or 6 different staves. You choose a combination of those staves. It goes Maker's Mark cask strength goes back in the barrel with the staves you selected. And ages for 9 weeks. They bottle it and they send it to you.
How different of a flavor do you? Because like for example, if you're watching, there's the label and it denotes. So you've got like 4 of the baked American puree right there, and then 2 of the seared French
cuvee. So like the baked American is just like almost a regular stave, like a vanilla caramel. And you taste all of them independently. It's a science that they do over there. It's the craziest thing I've ever done. And as far as doing whiskey picking of barrels and everything, so like French Cuvée was a spicy one. French Mocha was more of a roasty, vanilla-ish type of thing. French Spice is obviously spice. So you play around with it. You do combinations, and they have a vial that they do the ratios that would go into the barrel that you get to taste.
Oh, that's
and be
interesting.
Like, okay, so that's what it's going to taste like. So.
So that you did that experience. What about? Have you ever been disappointed when you've gone through the barrel pick process?
We've not picked barrels before.
So they've
wait, like as far as the experience,
or no,
or the actual juice.
Yeah, with the product, with the juice. Like where? So I mean, I don't know if you want to disclose the name, but something
I'm not going to disclose the name.
where you
some of these guys. I mean, I've gotten barrel picks from Elijah Craig or Knob Creek, and they've sent us terrible picks, and I'm like, we need another batch. I mean,
so you just didn't like what they sent, so you didn't want to buy it.
Yeah.
So
we're not just picking just to pick.
Right.
I mean, we've kind of developed a reputation, me and my dad, of having a decent palate, I guess. I mean, our barrel picks sell, so we don't just pick to pick.
Have you ever had one that you thought would sell easily and didn't?
Absolutely. I'm trying to think. Well, our first couple whistle pigs we did took forever to sell, and now they sell. But with the barrel pick thing, it's kind of a new concept, but we've been doing it for, I don't know, 8 years, 7, 8 years now. The first few barrel picks we did, they were tough to move. Our first few Knob Creek picks we did were very, very slow movers. I mean, it took a couple years to get rid of them. Now, if they're there for a couple months, it's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So it's all about developing a reputation for a good palate, and having a bunch of barrel picks. I mean, there's a bunch of a few stores, especially in the Southeast. Mississippi has a few stores, Maizano's, Lincoln Road. that have developed a reputation for doing good barrel picks. So it's kind of it takes a while to build a clientele for it. So
One more thing I want to ask you about, because you mentioned that when you laid all of these bottles out, you mentioned it while we're coming on, and I pointed out the Jefferson's Ocean. Would you grab it if you would?
Yeah.
So I want, for those that don't know, explain, not necessarily the barrel pick, just the concept behind an Ocean first.
So Ocean, this is actually wheated Ocean. They use wheat as their small grain, not rye, compared to their regular Ocean. So basically, they make the whiskey, they put the barrels on a ship, and the ship is actually a shark research vessel it's called O-Search, I think, OCEARS. I can't remember. SH. It says it on the label somewhere, but
So I've always been skeptical, because I'm like, I don't know if the bottles actually are on a ship.
yes, they are. And you can go to Jefferson, you can type in Jefferson Ocean on Google. Anyway, it's osearch.org, OSEARCH.org. They do, yes. So that is a shark research vessel. They go all over the place, but I think they're mostly on the East Coast. I think they tagged like one of the first. I don't know. I love Shark Week, but I think they tagged one of the first great whites off of Nova Scotia or something. I don't know. But anyway, and there's an actual shark that they named Jefferson because of this. But they put the barrels on that ship, and that ship goes all over the place.
Go ahead, sorry.
And if you go on their website, the older barrel, the older voyages, because they have different voyages. This is voyage 19, but they'll put the actual trip that the barrel has gone on.
So I really like Jefferson's just as a line.
Yeah.
I like their very old, very small batch. You can get presidential. I mean, I think their stuff is fantastic.
Yes.
I've never bought a bottle of Ocean, because I always felt like I was being sold a novelty.
Right.
I didn't know if the juice would be worth the price you pay.
I think it's excellent,
and
especially the wheated.
So you've got me. So you know me, Weller 12 is my jam. So if you're going to give me a wheated bourbon, I'm probably going to enjoy it a lot. So that's a wheated. This is what you have here is a wheated barrel pick.
So this is Jefferson's Ocean wheated, but it is a barrel pick. So like I said, instead of using rye as the small grain, they use wheat. And when you use, so Pappy is wheated, a lot of Buffalo Trace stuff's wheated. When you use wheat, it's a much softer grain than rye. Rye will tend to overpower a mash bill and make the juice a little spicier. Wheat lays down a little bit more and lets the corn do the talking.
Got it.
And a lot of people enjoy that. I do. That's why I think Pappy's so appealing to people, is for that reason. But so, like I said, this is they use wheat as a small grain here. It tastes like a wheated bourbon, but then it's got like a little bit of a salinity to the finish. You can actually taste the salt that the barrel gathers from the salt in the air. It's kind of crazy. But I love it. But I completely understand what you're saying. You think it's a novelty thing, but it actually spends time on a boat, on a boat.
If it's good, I'd rock it.
It's good.
You've probably inspired me to go try it, but I'd probably want to try the yeah.
Want to try what?
Should I try the wheated first
Or the regular?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know if I have regular right now.
Are you trying to sell me 2 bottles of
That's
Ocean?
my job. Yeah,
well, no, you probably get a boat. Get a boat.
You might as well.
All right, it's Bourbon Dictionary. It is finally it's always bourbon season in my house, but with the weather being nice like it is now, getting cooler, it certainly is. We move closer to Christmas time as well in the holiday season, which also means that the Calandro's Raffle is coming up as well. Can we dish some details on this?
Sure. Had a meeting with Gordy, your boss, last week.
Whatever.
Whatever. Talked about you
a
little bit. It's going to be Thursday, December 12th, at our Perkins Road location. If you haven't been, it's insanity. We'll do a tasting from 5 to 7 p.m. and with the raffle starting at 7 p.m. and probably lasting until 8:30. It's just
when does the tasting start?
5.
All right, tasting starts at 5, and then through the raffle, which you said at 8:30.
It'll start at 7 and usually it goes about an hour and a half.
If you've never been and you're interested, I would say even if you come, and I would imagine there's some people who are hoping to win the opportunity to buy one of these rare bottles, and it gets tougher, obviously, the more people that come. But regardless, the event itself is so much fun, and more so even, you all have used it as a fundraiser to benefit great charities.
So last year, we started doing a charity a few years ago. I came up with the idea to do it just because we were packing so many people into the store. I'm like, well, okay, and we were doing 1 ticket per person for free. Well, I'm like, we're going to get all these people in the store. Why not we do something good? And that's kind of what it's become more of anything is a charity event. Mm-hmm. Last year, we raised $37,000 for in 1 day for Folds of Honor.
That's awesome.
Folds of Honor.
Yeah.
Which gives scholarships to veterans' children, basically, and spouses or whatever. Great charity. We actually just went to an event at LaBerge for them over the weekend. It was really nice. So,
who's the benefactor this year?
4Kids Golf.
So, cool. So the 4Kids Foundation. The 4Kids Foundation. They're the ones that put on the Zurich Classic, the PGA Tour event. But the 4Kids Foundation essentially raises money and donates his money to children's charities, not just golf charities, but children's charities all over the state and the region. So that is pretty awesome.
There's a big chapter in New Orleans, a big 4Kids chapter in New Orleans. So we're trying to. We had a meeting with those guys last week, and we're hopefully trying to get some exposure in the Baton Rouge area for that charity. So.
All right, it is Bourbon Dictionary. Taylor and Matt, we appreciate you for being here for episode 2. If you got a suggestion, something you'd like us to talk about, always feel free to hit us up. We're not really on a regular schedule yet how often we're going to be able to do this. Football season, as you've gathered, is tough for me to sometimes peg down the time.
And you were the one that was on me about starting this, and I'm like, dude, this is such a terrible time for you.
A year ago.
A year ago.
A year ago, I was like, let's start this. It's like, we'll get a time.
It's a terrible time for you, but it's a terrible time for me, too, because this is our busy season, too. But it's way terrible for you.
No, but we're going to make it work more often. If you got things you'd like for us to talk about, always feel free to fire away suggestions.
Anything.
And we appreciate it. Paul O'Neill, thanks for handling the video. And episode 2 of Bourbon Dictionary in the books. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.